Okay, solo episode today. Let's go. Today I want to talk about Valheim. I think I'm gonna. Ben?
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
I thought you died.
Reports of my demise were greatly exaggerated.
What about your family?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Like, all my siblings are still alive. We're all fine. We didn't all die from our injuries, whatever these injuries would have been.
Even Alex?
Nah, Alex is fine. Look, here. Let me bring him up.
Alex!
Hey!
Alive?
I've been waiting
You've been waiting for a week?
in the lobby for you to let me into the call for, gosh, a couple weeks now.
Oh my god. But Eric said
January's
you guys
almost over.
died.
I mean, okay, I was very sick last week.
But you didn't die?
No, I'm perfectly fine.
You didn't succumb to your injuries in the hospital?
No.
You and all your siblings didn't succumb to the same injuries in the same hospital in different places? Different times?
Despite your best efforts, Ryan, no.
I actually do want to praise you for last week, because when you did that little zoom out to reveal that Eric was going to be in the episode, I laughed out loud. I was delighted by that. That was such great editing on your part.
That was easier than what I usually do.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Why don't you do more, man?
Because that spends more and more time. You have any idea how little time I have throughout the week?
No, I know. And this is as someone who puts in as little time as possible into this podcast.
Yeah, and I put in like a little bit more, man. This is chill. All right, well, you're back. That's cool.
Welcome to our pseudo premiere. Well, we had a weird first episode of our second season.
Yeah, I mean,
since I was not here. And
we had
Eric
two
guest.
weird ones technically.
Okay, yeah. I guess we got to tell the story about what happened 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, when you guys died.
Our other lost episode.
I was going to say every season needs at least one lost episode, and as is consistent with the lore of Starting Topic, it was a banger. It was one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
We don't say that as a joke. Like, we were at the top of our game. The banter was, like, real fun. Like, there's, like, a good back and forth, intellectual, stimulating conversation.
So, yes, for our listeners, what happened was 2 weeks ago, Ryan, I, and my brother Alex all met together, like we do, and we recorded a fantastic episode where we talked about RPGs, and we talked about the movie Memories of Murder by
Memories
Bong
of Murder.
Joon-ho. And then the funniest thing happened.
Well, you see, there's this thing that happens to us every once in a while where we record an episode and then it doesn't record. Now, this time it was my fault, and the other times it was also my fault. And probably in the future it'll still be my fault, I assume. I'm going to open this.
I don't know. I'll make a play for it someday. I'll find a way to make it my fault.
Okay, so at some point while we were recording, I did look over at the little, like, recording thing, and I noticed that the little volume things weren't going up and down while we were speaking, and I thought, I wonder if we're actually recording or not.
Yeah.
But I didn't say anything. And then when we finally wrapped everything up and we're like, okay, hit, stop recording, it started recording.
It sure did.
Basically the equivalent of having the cap on the, covering your lens on your camera.
Yep. Didn't hit the record button.
So then, of course, to follow that up, last week I was sick, and Alex, you were also sick, but in a completely different way. It was not actually the same injuries as Eric and Ryan had led you to believe.
Eric told me, I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to be on.
He was trying to usurp my position and Ben's.
Eric is always welcome to come on the podcast anytime he wants.
I don't know. Yeah, and this week I'm a little sick, which is why I'm using this medicine real quick, if you don't mind.
I'm sick. That's why I'm going to keep on coughing into the microphone, so I apologize to all our listeners for that.
It's going to be a great episode. Alex, what are we talking about?
Yeah, what's our starting topic?
Oh,
I mean, obviously our starting topic was our failed last 2 episodes.
Yeah,
I said failed. Last episode was excellent.
I brought some stuff to talk about. I don't know about what we would start with, but, you know, I was thinking, I don't want to try and, like, recreate the magic of the lost episode, but we did talk a little bit about some books by Andrew Kolb, which I see that you have arrayed right there in front of the camera. Yes, so I think we should dig into that.
Yeah, in the last episode, we talked specifically about these three books, but we didn't actually have them with us, so now we can show them off.
The most recent Lost episode, to be clear.
The most recent last episode.
As
Okay.
if
That other one is ancient history. It is no longer relevant.
There's two others.
I never
It's
saw
our
it.
old boomer episode. What do you mean two others?
You forget every time we did a prologue episode. We did episode 0.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I always like to share an RPG, and so the one I was thinking of talking about this week was Worldwide Wrestling because I'm a big fan. And I always like talking about movies, but we don't talk about a lot of movies when I'm on. And I think you guys may have watched a movie yesterday that I have a lot of opinions about.
We watched the quintessential 90s movie. The most 90s movie that ever 90s ever.
The most 90s of the 90s.
Yep. We watched Hackers, if you were unsure.
A seminal masterpiece, to be sure.
Yes, it was something. But yeah, let's talk about these Andrew Kolb books. Which one do you want to talk about first? You want to grab one?
Well, just in general.
Realistically, yeah. So,
Yeah.
Alex, who's Andrew Kolb? You would know.
Kind of. That's the funny thing, is that like he kind of just came out of nowhere, and he doesn't have like a huge presence in the RPG world. The year was 2020. As you may recall, there was a global pandemic, and it was very disruptive to a lot of industries, including tabletop gaming. But then out of nowhere, this no-name, Andrew Kolb, I guess, released that green book over there
There you go.
called Neverland.
That was pretty good, Alex.
Yeah, you were doing it really
I'm
well.
trying, but it's covering.
You can kind of get there.
Yeah.
Boink, boink, boink.
Yeah, he released this game called Neverland, and it's sort of a setting, kind of an adventure, basically the halfway point between them, that is like an adaptation of Peter Pan and Wendy, but for Dungeons and Dragons, and it's astonishingly high quality.
Yep.
He wrote it, he illustrated it, he laid it out all by himself. This guy was not like connected in the RPG world. He didn't have like a big career leading up to this really lavish production. And the book, of such ridiculously high quality, is also bizarrely cheap, which was the strangest thing of all for that to happen in the year 2020. And that he's maintained that level of quality with subsequent releases despite all of the many disruptions to the global publishing industry.
Yeah.
And I just love everything this guy makes.
Yeah. These aren't yours. You have your own copies. But when you told me about Neverland and you showed me the first book, I think I bought it like that week because I was like, "This is like the coolest thing I've ever seen."
I was a little surprised that you were so taken with it, because we always talk about cool RPG products, cool RPG adventures, but something about Neverland really spoke to you, it seemed.
I just think that like the way it's set up is so dope. Plus, I've run like a regular Wizards of the Coast RPG.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have ever, Alex. I'm sure you have some at some point. Have I don't think you have been at any point. I don't know.
No, Ben has.
Ben, you have? Okay, they're terrible.
I have run a lot of Wizards of the Coast adventures.
They're fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Every single one I've ever tried to run, or every time I look into one, it's like nothing is in any kind of logical location. Nothing makes sense. Every character is poorly explained, but introduced like 5 pages before they should be.
They give you like way too much information that you do not need, and they hide the bits of information you do need.
Yeah.
Those big blocks of text of information you don't need, and that's like 3 pages away from like the other information that you're currently using.
So that alone
It's just
was
awful to use at the table.
awful. I hated that. And then these are just like everything that you need to know or to set up in the perfect way.
Yeah.
And you showed me the Neverland one, I think in person last time when we were together. You showed me that one, and I was like, that's great. I'm buying that, even though, and I've run that one like 2 or 3 times, I think. And then the other 2 you told me about more recently. You might have told me about on this podcast. I'm not entirely sure. But you told me about it, and I was like, bye.
Yeah, I mean, so Kolb made Neverland, I presumably because he just really liked Peter Pan and Wendy, and immediately people were clamoring for more, and the obvious follow-up to that would be either something based on The Wizard of Oz or something based on Alice in Wonderland, since those 3 kind of form like a little bit of a trio in a sense.
Yeah.
So he tackled Oz next. The first one is like a wilderness exploration hex crawl sort of thing, which makes sense. You're on the jungle island of Neverland. But Oz, he made like a more urban centric kind of like city crawling thing. It's mostly about the Emerald City.
I
And
tried to run Oz as well, and I couldn't really wrap my head around the urban crawl the way it works.
um, I feel like it's pretty close to my ideal of what I would want out of that style of gameplay and how it sets it all up. But I
Yeah.
do agree that it's a mode of gameplay that is not natural to a lot of folks, or it's just not something that you're going to have as much experience with, which is why the third one is really exciting because finally he eventually got to making his adaptation of Alice in Wonderland. And that one he said, let's go straight dungeon crawl.
Dungeon
The
crawl.
classic, the one everybody knows.
Yeah, it's
Because
the mega
Alice goes
dungeon.
down she goes down a rabbit hole and then boom, it's a mega dungeon down there.
Yeah, yeah, and that one is the one that I was the most interested in running, but nobody wanted to do because I don't think they wanted to. I think they were kind of sick of dungeon crawls at that point. But Sam, your guys' other brother, is trying to run a game on that one, I believe, on Alice in Wonderland. He's trying to make one. I've
Oh
lent
yeah.
him the book, so I'm hoping that comes as something pretty dope.
He's been like just sitting there with this book open and the annotated Alice. That's like an old like book that has like commentary
He's
on
got it.
Alice in Wonderland. Oh, you got your own
Yes.
copy. Did you just have that sitting
Yes.
next to you, or were you planning on pulling that out?
No, that was just sitting next to me. I'm a big fan. I am a huge fan of Alice in Wonderland, and yes, I believe Sam and I own the same book. This is the most thoroughly annotated copy of both Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, with like every single stupid observation ever made by scholars of Carroll's written works, which is an entire field unto itself in literary studies for some reason.
Hell yeah.
Look, can I just geek out a little bit how much I love that kind of thing, like annotated books like that? Did you ever have to read like the Shakespeare books in high school with
Yes.
like, the annotations on the side?
I did.
I mean, like, I would never want to just read Shakespeare without that like extra context. But like looking back on it now, that context is so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's annotated books are not something I've ever really like delved into, but like especially as I've grown into an adult, I can see the appeal more and more. Just like here, you don't know why he said this. Well, here's another guy who figured it out like 20 years ago. He
See,
just
like,
read a note.
It's kind of like watching a movie with the director's commentary
That's
on.
exactly
Like it
what
adds
I was
another
about to
layer.
say. That's exactly what I was about to say. And I like even when you don't think it's that interesting, like I was watching the Venture Brothers with their commentary overlaid over it, and it was mostly them just like joking around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But every once in a while, they would just drop like a little detail that would stick with me, like how like half the characters in that show were created just because they loved doing funny voices, and they were creating characters to go with the voices.
Yeah,
Like that's the Monarch right there. That was just the voice that they would yell.
the
at each
monarch.
other.
It's inevitable too. Like that voice, you can't help it. There's someone in my D&D group who made a character with that voice, and as soon as she did, everyone is now talking in that voice all the time.
God, this cough.
Smiling Friends did the same thing. Zach Heidel and Michael Cusack would go through their whole thing, and they would be like, "Oh yeah, you're the one who specifically drew this character.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one who animated this whole part." And they're like, "Yeah, you're the guy who animated this one." And then they would talk about like why this character exists. They would reveal stuff about the show, like that Glep has a wife.
Yeah, I just really appreciate like getting into the creation process, but also just like looking like really getting into the nitty gritty of stuff like that, which is not to get too far away from the RPG discussion.
No,
Why I love the annotated Alice and books similar to that.
I just love.
But yes.
I love these books.
So yeah, back
The
to
thing
the
that
RPG.
I can't recommend enough about these books is that like there has been this long-standing issue of like what makes for a good setting design and what makes for good adventure design. And when you look at like classic D&D settings, the big problem with them is that they're usually just big lore dumps.
Yeah.
Like it'll just be like walls of text describing like the history of the world or like demographics of like specific polities and industries and things that like aren't very gameable, or like you're gonna have to take this lore and then create your own gameable content out of it. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I know what kind of wildlife is native to this land. Now let me take that and make a random encounter table, I guess. And meanwhile, setting or adventure design, like you said, first of all, they're usually terribly written and laid out. Like
Yeah.
they're just not thinking about usability at the table at all. But they're also usually very linear and prescriptive and kind of just like trying to walk you through a specific sequence of moments that they have in mind, assuming that you're going to take particular actions or have specific goals that they've already pre-decided for you. And what's funny is that like most of the ways that people have figured out to make either of those two formats better is to kind of just bring them closer to one another.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
settings are better when you just make them already gameable, like all of the gaming stuff that you would need to just start running it has been done for you. And adventures are usually better when they're not so much about one plot, but when they're about more of an open situation, just like a location with lots of different elements going on for you to interact with. And when you think about it, yeah, that just means you made a hybrid setting adventure thing. And that's exactly what these are. These are like bizarrely high quality renditions of that kind of like hypothetical idea people have been talking about for a long time now from a first time creator. Is it's just unfair. It's infuriating.
It's just infuriating.
Just infuriating. um, you've read all three now, Alex, right? Because I have not read them all. I have mostly looked into Neverland, and that's it. I kind of am keeping myself from looking at Wonderland because I might actually want to be a player in that one.
Right.
But Neverland, like, is the one that I'm just looking at. Like, this is exactly how an adventure should be formatted.
How a
Like,
hex
if
crawl
you are
would be,
brand
yeah.
new to this, and you need to copy someone's homework, this is the thing I would say. Just copy this. You know?
That's why I did it.
But Alex, I'm assuming you have read through all three to a certain extent. Are you able to compare and contrast? Say which ones are your favorites? Where are your weaknesses?
Yeah, I think that Oz is maybe the strongest product overall in whatever
Interesting.
ways, like the kind of information he thought to include and prioritize and the order to do it. And just the way he constructed the setting, I think was very clever. It's a much more political adventure than the other two.
Yeah.
And he gave a lot of thought to the kinds of interfactional dynamics and how that setting kind of can just generate adventures for the players as they're in it. That one, it is almost because they all have like also additional custom like rules or house rules that you might incorporate into whatever your system of choice is. But Oz is the one where I feel like you could just run that as its own game almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
also throw in a bit of dice rolling as whatever your judgment, but otherwise it really is like an all-in-one thing. Um, Wonderland is the one where my heart is, obviously, because I love Alice. And yet, despite all of that, the one I'm most inclined to run myself is Neverland. And the reason why is just I think it has the broadest appeal to most D&D players because it's the least weird and it's the most like classic fairy tale fantasy, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. I think I probably, if I had given the choice, I'd probably run Wonderland. But I'm kind of glad I didn't now that I might end up getting to play. Um, but I did run Neverland, and Neverland is freaking dope, and it has so many different avenues and different like factions in and of itself,
Mm-hmm.
like the giant bugs, which I love.
The
There's-
giant bugs.
There's giant bugs. There's gigantic. There's a
It-
whole hill of giant ants.
It's funny because they're just called the Giants, and so when you're reading in the intro the list of factions, it's like, yeah, there's the mermaids, the pirates, the gnomes, the Lost Boys, and the Giants, and you're like, I don't remember there being giants in Neverland, but sure, why not? And then
Yeah.
you get to their entry, and you're like, that is not what I was expecting when they said there were giants on this island.
That's really cool.
During one of the sessions for me, I created an ant that I don't believe exists in that book yet, but not yet. It's not going to. Which was the door ant, which is in nature. There are ants that their entire job is to be a door.
What do you mean to be a door?
They have a hole. They have their head is shaped like a hole, and they put their head in the hole, and now nothing can get in. That's a real thing in real life. I added that.
Blocking the door with their big fucking heads.
I made that ant.
Okay, that's brilliant, dude. That's such an inspired idea.
I used to be really into ant content, but I don't want to get into that.
One thing that Sam and I have been talking about to a certain extent is, like, if Andrew Kolb were to make one more book in this series, like, what setting do you choose?
My immediate reaction, for reasons I'm not really sure, is Atlantis.
Atlantis.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is one of the things Sam had brought up was just like the works of Jules Verne. So you would have like a mashup of Journey to the Center of the Earth and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So
Uh,
that would kind of cover like your underwater submarine kind of civilization.
for me, I was thinking of the movie, with I
Oh,
can't remember
like
the
the
name.
Disney film?
Yeah, with Milo, and then the other characters that are in that.
Yeah, that's all Disney original stuff, unfortunately. So
The
yeah,
funny,
He
that's
yeah,
could.
new.
the golden thing about these is that they're all public domain works. So that could happen in a couple hundred years, Ryan. But
Right,
we gotta
cool.
make something now.
See, one weird idea I had was, are you familiar with like an old comic called Little Nemo in Slumberland?
I know, but Slumberland sounds familiar for some reason.
I mean, Slumberland. It's just the world of dreams. It's about a little boy who goes into the dream world and has adventures in dreaming.
Is
I
this
saw
the?
a like an animated adaptation by Studio Ghibli that is
Oh, like
fine.
forever ago, like so one of their first things.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
one of those really old ones.
That
Um,
kind of sounds like I think it might be called Neverland, but not that Neverland. The one with Falcor, the giant dragon dog.
no, that's Fantasia.
Never
That's
ending.
the never-ending story.
The Neverending Story. Yeah. That's what that's reminding me of.
I've never
Sam
seen
did
the
bring that
Never-Ending
one
Story.
up, but it is a little too recent. That's going to be the issue with a lot of the good candidates. I would like the Jungle Book, but I understand it is a trickier one to tackle for sure.
I mean, you just do like the woodland critters type thing, you know? That'd be my thought.
Like a Wind in the Willows or like Toad, Mr. Frog and Mr. Toad.
Oh, Mr. Frog, Mr. Toby, sick. I mean, it wouldn't be a
Um,
good RPG, but
My friend Warren really wants to do the 100 Acre Woods, and that's because that's like a childhood property that he is a lot of nostalgia for, and it would be fun to play a game set there. But I don't think it has the same like potential for D&D adventure as
Yeah,
any of
no.
those, you know.
because okay, you said before like Neverland is the thing that's like the closest to a regular D&D adventure. You've got like pirates, you've got like monsters that you can imagine being a Neverland, you know, like a big giant crocodile or something like that.
yeah.
And you can imagine like D&D adventurers existing in this setting and like having an adventure there. When it gets to Oz and Wonderland, it gets weirder, but you still have like soldiers, political factions, giant monsters
Yeah,
like
those
the Jabberwocky.
those stories are gentle, they're for children, but they're still filled with peril, you know.
Yeah.
There
And
is
Winnie the
like
Pooh is
it's explicitly no peril. Like the most dangerous things, heffalumps and woozles, are in Pooh's mind. That's like the whole point.
Hey,
right?
he gets stuck down a hole at one point.
He gets stuck in a lot of holes.
Well, he gets stuck down a hole, like in a big giant hole, and they have to throw a rope to him, and they throw the whole rope.
And just the rope down the hole.
There's no rope on the
Whoops.
bottom.
See, I was thinking of the one where he gets his he gets,
gets
his
his-
head stuck
yeah.
in a hole, and they're like yanking on him from behind, and because his butt stick was it like Rabbit's hole?
It was
there?
rabbits, yes.
there's only so many hole-based scenarios though.
And the second, you can't bring the one that we just described to an actual table in real life because people are gonna take it and make it get weird. Every time, they're gonna make it weird.
So the best suggestion I think I have heard Sam brought up, and this one's tricky.
Alex, can you stop for one moment?
Yeah, our video feed froze.
2 years out before
I-
it's in the public domain, but
Wait, 1 second. One
Hold
sec.
on, we're gonna have to have you re-say that. Oh, dude, do you have to restart the call
Oh God.
mid podcast?
Mid
I
podcast.
Oh,
Oh, it was also the worst like still for him ever. I have to add that. You were right now. You're looking up. Can you see your? What do you see in
Oh,
yourself?
hey, there we
Hey.
go.
All right, you're good. Sorry about
the
that.
technical
All right.
difficulties,
Sorry,
listeners.
everybody.
All right, could you repeat what you just said? What
Like,
Sam
comment, and
said
subscribe.
was Probably.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
I know what you're gonna say.
So the best suggestion I've yet heard, I think, is Sam brought up, and this is still a few years away from being in the public domain, but I think Narnia would be really killer to be finally adapted into a proper D&D setting, and I do think Andrew Kolb is the guy to do it in this style.
I agree with that completely immediately. I see no flaws at all. Perfect. Perfect
Okay.
suggestion.
Here's the observation I have, because I have a mental link between Narnia and Lord of the Rings because of Tolkien and C.S. Lewis's like actual real world friendship.
Yeah.
Like, they were written around the same time, weren't they? Like first Narnia
Yeah.
and then Lord of the Rings, I believe.
They're very closely tied to one another. They influenced each other's development as well.
Right.
Most famously famously, the thing I find hilarious is Tolkien very much like did not like allegory. He would always go on about how like his stuff isn't allegorical, and that feels like very on the nose, making fun of C.S. Lewis for like, yes, the lion is Jesus. See, look, they're cutting his hair and now they're nailing him to a cross.
I mean, it'd be a better Jesus than our Jesus, you know.
I want lion Jesus.
That is the actual snag with adapting Narnia, is that it is so Christian. Like, it's not merely influenced by Christianity, it is about Christianity. Like, that's what it exists to be. And I think if you know, if you're not a coward, you embrace that. But
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
would be
yeah.
very funny to try and just scrub the religious text from it entirely.
I don't see a point in trying to like unmarry them. Like it's so ingrained within it. I would say just continue on. I mean, like, what's the worst thing that happens? You accidentally make a Christian work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I'm trying to avoid that at all costs.
well, you're not doing it, so it don't matter.
You could turn it into like an anti-Christian work. You could do like a Starship Troopers to it.
Yeah, but then the people are gonna not take the joke seriously enough, and then it's gonna be like, ah, this is just real now. Like Starship Troopers.
Like Starship Troopers.
Like Starship Troopers. I'm trying to think of anything else that would really work. I can't think of anything like that isn't a specific property. One of my thoughts was maybe a SpongeBob one, but like I'm running into the same problem as 100 Acre Woods.
100 Acre Woods, like the thing is you would have to change the style of game. You're not playing anything similar to D&D 5th edition. If anything, you're doing a cozy story style game.
Yeah.
The thought I have, because to me, I always think of, you know, this is the classic trio: Alice, Wendy, and Dorothy. Very similar characters in similar circumstances. And there are many more works since then that have done similar things, like Time Bandits and Pan's Labyrinth. But I always thought of Spirited Away as being a sort of like Japanese Alice in Wonderland. And I would love something like that. It's just that Spirited Away doesn't contain enough lore to support an entire campaign setting, I don't think. And then you just have to, I don't know, like, do you just mash up a bunch of like Miyazaki settings together?
Why not?
I would kind of disagree with that, only in the sense that most of the lore inside of Spirited Away is based off of Japanese like Shintoism. So my solution would just be to make a Shintoism RPG.
The thing is if you were to compare like that to Alice in Wonderland has just so many named characters that are referenced, you know, that are making up all the different NPCs and factions and things that you're going to be encountering. Whereas like in the runtime of the movie A Spirited Away, we do get, you know, enough cast members for that film story, but not enough that I would, you know, fuel an entire dungeon or campaign, in my opinion.
You just like add in different spirits from their myths, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd add in like the different kinds of yokai that they have that are like legends over there.
So yeah,
Yeah, stuff like that.
A lot of it yourself, which I don't see.
I was going to say, at that point, I wouldn't be going in the direction of an Andrew Kolb style setting sandbox. I would just adapt it in the same way that Jim Henson's Labyrinth was adapted into an RPG setting, where it's really more just an adventure where you're kind of recreating the basic events of the movie, but in your own way with your own kind of scenes going on and all that. You could do that with Spirited Away, I think.
Yeah.
Funny enough, Labyrinth also does kind of fit the mold of what we're talking about.
It is, yeah.
In the fantasy world and everything.
Yeah.
What's the main character from Labyrinth's name? What's her name again?
Sarah.
I don't remember.
Sarah.
Okay. I could not remember.
See, she can join Alice, Dorothy, and Wendy.
Wendy.
And Chihiro.
Chihiro, yeah.
Chihiro.
You mean Sen?
Sen.
And Ophelia from Pan's Labyrinth, I think. That's her name.
Oh, yeah. Okay, wait. What about the ones from Narnia? Because there's 3 of them, but, like, isn't there, like...
I only remember Edmund.
4.
Yeah, I only remember
There's
Edmund,
4.
too. There's 4.
Peter,
4.
Edmund...
Oh no, he can't remember the girls.
I'm not a massive,
The girls.
I'm just not a Narnia fan. Well, they're the ones that I'm like, are they the more important ones? Are they the ones that we like transform into the main character? Edmund is the one that I remember because he's the one who sells them out for freaking Turkish Delight.
Yep.
Have you guys ever had Turkish Delight?
No,
I've heard it's terrible.
I've never had
It's
it.
it's pretty unpleasant. I can imagine like if you're living literally in the Blitz, like
Yeah.
actively bombed London, it might be a treat, but I don't know. Like it's kind of rough.
Okay,
Okay,
speaking
it's
of
Susan
thematic
and Lucy.
connections,
I just looked it up. It's Susan and Lucy.
Lucy. Okay. Speaking of thematic connections, the other thing that I always connect with Narnia because it has the same start is Lord of the Flies. How about that for a setting?
I don't
That's
know
just
if
what
that would
Neverland
work.
inevitably turns into anyway.
Just
Yeah.
the players screaming, "I have the conch. You have to listen to me."
I just don't think it would do well as a setting. I think it'd be better as adventure.
Oh no, it would be horrible.
Yeah.
I would not want. Okay, RPGs are art, and you can definitely put like interesting stuff in there. But I would not want to challenge my players with the kind of content from Lord of the fucking Flies.
I'd win.
That's where you and I differ.
I'm built different.
You're built different.
Yep.
You
Wrong
would
is
win.
different.
Piggy gets a fucking rock dropped on his head, but you're gonna fucking escape this island on your own.
Yeah.
By the way, for the audience, spoilers for Lord of the Flies, a book I actually haven't read.
I've also not read it by any of that.
Would you just click?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
It's still recording. Don't worry about it. You want to move on from Andrew Kolb?
Yeah. Do we have
Yes.
more RPGs we want to talk about?
Yeah, did you? Well, we want to talk about World Wide Wrestling.
We should pivot. Someone else needs to have the thing next. We have to like go between us. I
All right,
can.
guests,
but that's
calm
not
down.
right.
I can tell you about being sick for the past 2 weeks. I'm still coughing.
All right, so it's not
Ah.
Ben's turn.
Let's talk about Valheim.
Valheim. Oh yeah, you've been playing Valheim lately.
Do you guys? Okay, Alex, I know you don't know much about Valheim. Yeah, he's looking it
Googling
up.
right now.
Alex is gonna learn about a video game.
Ben, I'm assuming you don't know much more about Valheim.
No, I've never played it.
Okay, so it's set in the I think it's supposed to be set in the afterlife of Viking Norse mythology.
Okay.
The idea is it's a survival game. So you start off and you don't have any of your gear, you have nothing, and you punch trees until you get wood, use that to get the next, and then blah blah blah. Where it kind of differs from other games is the way that it does difficulty and progression.
Okay.
So in most survival games, you start off being really shitty, and then you get more stuff, and then you run around and you find all the cool stuff, and biomes don't really matter. In Valheim, the way you determine how deep you are in is based off of the biome that you're able to go into.
So there is a travel component.
Oh yeah, it's a huge travel
It's
component.
not just building a base and like expanding your territory out from that base. It's I am going from region to region to region and facing new challenges.
Island to island.
I love that.
It's everything is an archipelago. So you start on one island, and usually your island will only have 2 to 3 other biomes. Because if you have like the plains, for example, which is like the third or fourth biome, you will die. You will die immediately. Everything in that area is way too strong for you. You've got to go to the first biome, which is the meadows. You've got to fight the giant deer and kill the giant deer first.
Okay.
That's the giant deer boss. You kill him, then you're able to use a pickaxe. Now you have to go to the Black Forest and kill the giant tree. And then you have to go to the you have to go to the swamp, and you got to kill the giant blob, who looks an awful lot like the Great Mighty Pooh.
You mean from Conquer's Bad Fur Day?
I do, in fact. And then you have to fight the dragon, and then I can't remember what you have to fight. I don't know what you fight in the plains, actually.
Spoilers for Valheim, by the way.
It's not a game where spoilers are a thing. It's one of the games it's a wiki game. You got to look it up. You got to figure it out, because everything up until this point is like a whole thing.
Well, the idea that there's like actual progression, especially progression that you can measure in distance traveled.
It's not exactly distance traveled necessarily. It's like area.
Yeah, well, the idea is that you are completing it area by area, and that's something.
Effectively.
That's how I play games. Like when I'm playing Breath of the Wild, for instance, which is their big open world, whatever. I am still trying to stay within my region revealed by the Sheikah Tower and get everything in that section before I move on to another region. Like that's how I do
Gotcha.
shit. You know.
There are like repeat regions. That's part of it. So, like for example, the mountains, which is the third biome or the fourth biome, sorry. There's several of those in different places. And there's also the Mistlands, which is one of the newer ones. It's one of the most terrifying places to go because everything is covered in mist. You can't fucking see shit. until you get the item that lets you see shit. And the enemies in that one are all giant bugs.
Oh, terrifying.
They're fucking horrifying. One of them is a gigantic, like, looks like a balloon, enormous. It's in the sky, and it poops out ticks that come and fight you.
Ah, ah.
Yeah. They just added the Ashlands, which is currently the final one. That's one of the poles, because this is like a global area. The poles in the top and bottom.
Is this a like early access game? Or
At the moment, yeah.
it's still in early access.
They're supposed to be releasing it in full this year, actually.
When did this first like start getting attention? I feel like it was a few years ago.
I think so.
I would have thought it was out by now.
I mean, it's a small team. I think it's like literally 5 people or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, at this point, early access is just kind of like built into the live service kind of model where people expect
to a degree, yeah.
updates at a regular basis.
The other thing that's like cool about the way they progressed is the way that you can the way that your building changes. So when you start the game, you only have wood stuff. You can only do stuff in wood. You can't even get certain woods until you can unlock the ability to make tools that would cut down those trees.
Mm-hmm.
So you start off, you get the cool wood, and then you go up to the next one. Now you get different wood, and then you go up to stone, and then you can go up to, you can do fancy stone, which is where they take tar that you find in certain places, and they add that to the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And as you continue, you get more and more stuff. One of the things that unlocks through this progression is magic.
Okay.
So eventually you'll get to magic, but you have to get there. And that's kind of one of the things that's kind of cool about it and kind of sucky. Because the first, 2 or 3 biomes are kind of a slog as a result of this, unfortunately. But after that, the game really opens up. As soon as you're able to use stone regularly and you can get to a point where you can build an actual castle, that's when things start to get really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been playing it with my buddy. My buddy is a huge fan. He has 1,000+ hours in the game. I have only a couple hundred. And it makes it a lot easier when you know that if you don't do something, he will.
I was gonna say, this sounds like the kind of game that I might struggle to maintain my interest in by myself, but the fact that it's multiplayer, I could so easily imagine going through this game with somebody else. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's because the way I play with him especially is he does all of the base building because he's very aesthetic focused, and I am not aesthetic focused.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that. My house in Animal Crossing is just a bunch of empty rooms. I'm I'm gonna upgrade this right away, so I've got the last level house, and it's I just live in a desolate mansion.
And one of the cool things about the way that Valheim works is you get a rested bonus based off if you stay around a fire for a while, and then it increases your stamina regeneration. It's actually really important.
Mm-hmm.
That bonus increases the more shit that's in your house.
That's interesting.
So you are getting a massive benefit by decorating your home.
That's interesting. I love mechanics.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, isn't it
This
sick?
isn't realistic, but it still exists in order to get you to play a certain way.
Yeah, because they want you to have a nice looking home. So if you add a fucking sconce somewhere and you add a bearskin rug, everything looks cooler.
And you just are more comfortable in your house so that you get a bigger bonus when you sleep in it.
Yeah, it's dope. Just before I came here, I finished my house, which took me 4 days to build because I kept tearing it down and rebuilding it the way I wanted to do it. I ended up with a log cabin.
Mm-hmm.
I love log cabins.
Oh yeah? Would you live in a real log cabin in real
No.
life?
Yes, I don't know. Yes and no, but it would be too big for what I want. I would want a double insulated log cabin, 2 logs.
2 logs. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's been pretty much my week because I was as I was saying, I was a little sick, and as well that and the bazaar. So if you want to talk about the bazaar, I can, but that's a little bit more of a challenge.
What's the bazaar? What are you talking about?
The bazaar,
Yeah.
not bizarre, bazaar. So a place where you buy and sell stuff.
Okay, but you talk about a real life bazaar?
Nope,
or
video
bazaar?
game.
Okay.
It's an
Oh,
auto battling card battler.
Oh, it's the name of a game. It's
Yes.
called the bazaar.
Yes. The idea of this one is that you pick a specific character. There's 3 to start, I believe, which is Vanessa, Pigminin, I don't know how to pronounce his name, and then Mac, or no, not Mac, Dooley.
Okay.
Dooley is a robot. The bazaar is it's got everything you can imagine. So it's got sci-fi, it's got old style medieval stuff. It's got everything. You pick your character, and then you have to build your set of cards so that you can auto battle as you go through.
So it's a deck builder.
Yeah. Well, it's a board builder more. It's more like a hand builder, like that one game we played. I want to say oh, I can't remember the name of the game.
Board game?
It was a board game we played. It was the card game based off of the book that Silas had read.
Oh shit! What the fuck was that game?
Read something.
I don't know. It was like this sci-fi.
It was a sci-fi card. It was a sci-fi
like,
game, but the point is that it was a hand builder. You're building a hand of cards. You're not building a deck. And this is the same concept. You build this deck so that everything kind of goes into each other, or this hand so that everything kind of builds into each other. So if as you attack, your attack will increase and so on and so forth until you get to a point where you're breaking the game. It's cool, and they keep adding new characters. Is it not Red Faction? Are you looking it up? He's
yeah,
looking
I'm looking it up right now because like it sounds like a little familiar, and I'm wondering if it was the one that was So okay, weird thing.
Okay.
Back when I watched Hearthstone for a little while, there was a few streamers I enjoyed like watching their content, and one of them was this guy named Raynad who was really fun because he was super salty and he would just fight with his chat all the fucking time.
Right.
You know, something unlucky would happen, and then they would all make fun of him for having a big forehead, and then he would act all like upset and butthurt.
The queso method.
And if I'm not mistaken, he's the one who made this game.
Bizarre?
Yeah, because he is also the owner of his own esports team, Tempo Storm.
Oh, yeah, that actually makes sense. It's the Tempo launcher.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know much about Raynad as like a creator or whatever. He was one of those like very toxic style streamers, but I don't know if that necessarily reflects on him as a real life person, and I don't not want to have to look into it to find out that he is
good or bad.
Good or bad.
I only know about it because Northern Lion was playing it.
That figures.
And he was playing it for a while, and then when he was playing it, it was going horribly. He was just like every time he tried to play, it would be down. Servers were down constantly, and the balance was awful when he started. But at the moment, it's in a really good place.
That's good.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun lately.
You mentioned it was like auto chess, and I've got to confess here, I never learned what that shit was about.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I do not know how the game auto chess plays. Like, what is the whole idea behind it at all?
I don't know auto
Like,
chess.
its own, like little mini genre that was created.
I'm talking specifically about auto battlers, so thinking maybe TFT would be a better example. Teamfight Tactics.
Teamfight Tactics?
Okay, you don't know that one? That's the League of Legends one.
Yeah, Teamfight Tactics was the first one that was after auto chess, if I'm not mistaken.
I've been playing an auto chess style mobile game for the last week, actually. This is embarrassing. Yes.
Now you have to tell us all about it, Alex. Alex, you've been playing mobile trash, and you have to talk about it.
I absolutely have, like mobile slop. It's called Slime Legion. And
okay.
I was not familiar with this term auto chess until you guys just brought it up, and I opened up another tab where I was Googling it. But that's exactly what it is. I was thinking of it as a tower defense game.
Yeah, okay, I've seen it compared to that before.
Because, I mean, it is like Plants vs. Zombies, right? Where, like, that was, what if you did a tower defense thing, but instead you have, like, kind of an open grid of cells that you can choose how to fill out as you want to, instead of just, like, a linear path. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing, right? Like, you're alternating between, here's a preparation phase where I get to plan stuff, and then here's the execution phase where you just have to watch this battle animate, and you're wishing that it could go faster.
Yeah, that's kind of close. The Bazaar is only slightly different in that, like, you're always in the state of figuring it out. Because, like, the typical turn will be, you start the game, you have a few slots that you can open, you go to a trader, you buy stuff to start off your build, and maybe you're going for a full burn build. So all your items you want are going to have the ability to burn your enemy. And then you go to the next trader, and then you go to a monster. You fight the monster. That's usually easy. You're going to win that fight. And then you go to another trader, and then you go to an actual person. And that person has built their own stuff and their own thing separate to you entirely. And then you both, like, do the auto battle where everything kind of folds into one another. And that's the main goal, is you want all of your items to fold into one another. So you might have an item that does burn. You might have another item that when an item does burn, it gives you shields. And you might have an item that when an item gives burn, it increases the crit chance of that. That's what you want, is all these things to fold into another, so that when you're attacking somebody else or a monster, you're just doing it rapidly and you're kind of increasing.
I see.
Yeah, that's the appeal, and it's really fun.
I mean, regardless of like the bizarre as just one example of the genre, I think auto battlers appeal to me more than I would have expected, but I kind of am still terrified of even bothering to try it out. When I first learned about because I think the first one was Auto Chess,
Mm-hmm.
which was a mod for Dota 2, which is hilarious because Dota itself was a mod for Warcraft.
Yep.
And I learned about it right around the time I was coming down from Dota. I was like, okay, I have just learned what this new genre of game is called MOBA, and it's insane complexities and depth that you're never going to learn about because it doesn't relate to any other game genre that exists out there.
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, now there's this new thing called auto chess, and I'm like, no, I don't want to touch it. I'm going to stay as far away from this as possible. It's like, it's the new thing. Everyone's like getting into it. Valve's going to make their own auto chess game. Riot's going to make their own auto chess game. I'm like, I'm not touching this one with a 10-foot pole.
I don't know if I'm playing a particularly bad auto chess game, but I just feel like more than any other genre of game I've played, this feels kind of mindless and unproductive.
It's
I
a
mean,
shame that you mentioned Plants vs. Zombies, because I desperately wish I could play a Plants vs. Zombies style game again.
I mean, I guess Plants vs Zombies is better because in that you have a little bit more control, a little bit more strategy as to like what kinds of things you're deploying and hows and whys. Not so much like randomness. But yeah, this is I don't know. That's the thing about when I say an auto battler, you are setting up something that'll just be automated after that point, and you just
Yep.
have to watch it go. And that isn't that exciting to me. I don't know. I don't get the kind of brain tickle of like I have engineered a machine and now I get to see it come alive. I'm not a Dr. Frankenstein kind of gamer, but I guess for some
Oh, that
people that could be really fun.
I was actually telling Eric last week that that's like what I wanted out of Magic. That
Yeah.
is that exact specific experience is I want to be able to build a machine and watch it work.
So not to
I
not
was
to Alex, before I get into it. Nah, he's frozen. Never mind. So not to.
I was
Oh, hold on.
Sorry, you completely cut out again. Nothing that you said was recorded.
So sorry.
okay.
You said a couple days
So are we
ago
good?
you and Ben. Yeah, we
Okay.
go now.
So a couple days ago, Ben and I were talking about D&D, and I was explaining how one of my players, his favorite thing in D&D is planning a build and then just seeing it come alive without having to do any work after he's already made the character. He just like, can I just like have the stats work now because I made the perfect build? Guess what his favorite game is? Magic the Gathering.
I was going to say, so one of our listeners, our mutual friend Aqua, is the only person I know who plays Magic the Gathering whose favorite aspect of the game is not building the deck and
Yeah.
watching the deck, come to life. And that is wild to me because literally every card game fan I know, every single one that like I'll hear talk about like on streams for like Hearthstone or Legend of the Five Rings or Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh, it's building the deck, Like, that's the part that appeals to them. Definitely the part that does not appeal to me. It's just so much goddamn work.
My problem with building the deck is I build the deck and then it becomes easier for me to win the game as opposed to see the machine come to fruition.
So you are there for winning the game, not just...
No, that's the issue. Is I'm not there to win the game. I'm there to build the machine. So I get so focused on building the machine, I don't attack, and then I lose because I forget to attack. And the person just they don't even think about it. They're like, you could attack me right now, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm busy. Go do whatever you're trying to do.
And not to... Because hopefully I'm describing it right, but what Aqua described, what they liked, is just, like, learning in the moment the way the cards can interact and, like, get yourself out of situations, like playing by the seat of your pants. Like,
Yeah.
not necessarily... Like, your deck might be built to create an engine and do a certain thing, but there's going to be opposition to that, and sometimes it doesn't come online, and then you've got to improvise. And that's the part that they like, because they feel that Magic has the depth that, allows that kind of thing.
It reminds me of the classic example of Fisher Random Chess, because chess is a great game,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's really hard to get into because you have to memorize a lot of opening lines. You got to buy modern chess openings, and you got to just learn all of them and memorize a whole lot of crap just so that you can get to like a solid mid-game state, which is when the game actually gets interesting. When like you reach a board state that has never existed before, and then you can start just actually deploying your real chess skill as opposed to rote memorization. And so Bobby Fischer made a variant of chess where he said, what if all of the starting positions of the pieces were just randomized every time you play? they're mirrored between the two players, but the point is you can't just memorize the openings because it's going to be randomized. So from the get-go, you just get to be, using your actual knowledge of like how chess works rather than recalling specific sequences that you deploy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never knew that was a thing.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I don't know when I learned about it. Probably when all the Twitch streamers were playing chess for whatever reason. But at some
Because
point
of
I
the
learned
pandemic.
that was yeah. At
It
some point
it
I learned
got
about that version.
it
Go
got
ahead.
a lot more popularity after Magnus Carlsen decided to not continue to defend his world championship title because he was getting fucking bored, and bored with chess in general. He was like, "All right, it's that time. Let's go into random chess because I have already beaten all of normal chess."
Uh,
So it's like it is the chess equivalent to a Super Metroid randomizer, is what you're saying?
Yeah, honestly, kind of yeah.
I still think a Super Metroid game where you're playing against another player would be fun.
Yes, I also agree with that. That's why there's a lot of like mod variants that are like hide and seek games.
That's another thing I've been doing. I've just been thinking of game ideas I want to exist but don't have the skills to make. Like
I suffer
a
from this
supernatural
as
video
well.
game.
It's really frustrating to like know that it is actually very easy to like get the tools to make a game, to make something, but like you don't want to make like a Game Boy game. You want to make something more ambitious. You want to make something more interesting than that. But that requires like being able to program high fidelity graphics and shit.
I want a supernatural video game based off of the show Supernatural, where you pick your character based off of the car you get.
Okay.
So if you want to play as Sam and Dean, you get the I think they have a Charger in the car.
It's always a Dodge Charger.
It's always a Dodge Charger. If you want to play as like their dad, that version of Hunter, you'd get a truck. If you want to play as your own guy, you'd get a fucking Prius.
And if you want to play as the Scooby Gang, you bring the Mystery Machine.
You get the Mystery
Oh
Machine.
my god. Okay, like just divorce it from Supernatural entirely. I do just love this idea of like your character is defined by your car.
I love that. I came up with that when I was watching. I just been rewatching Supernatural. I came up with that thought, and I was like, "That's a really good idea."
Okay, so the other thing I keep on thinking about is the music that should like each car should have its own like musical themes. To go
Oh,
with it.
that's pretty good.
Like the Dodge Charger is all like AC/DC and like
All
70s
rock, yeah.
Whereas the Mystery Machine is like all groovy 60s
Bong,
tunes.
bong, bong.
I want to play this so bad.
And then the Prius is just like softcore, what alt rock.
Okay.
Yeah, this is perfect. I'm basing it off of what I don't know what I listen to actually. I was gonna say based off what I listen to. I don't know the genres of music I listen to beyond rap. I have no idea. There's too many genres of music. I don't know what they are anymore.
I don't know enough about music to know about genres and stuff. I think it has the most to do with like rhythms and like the drums and stuff like that.
So it's weird. Genre is not as salient in music as it once was because of changes just in the music industry.
Yep.
And I've met a lot of younger folks, people of our generation or younger, who express this very common sentiment of like not quite understanding genre or just outright skepticism of it because they didn't live during the era of the record industry, essentially.
Yeah.
'Cause music used to have to conform to much more narrow set genre definitions a lot more because that's what the entire record industry and radio industry were based around was this is a radio station or a record label that makes music of this genre, so we are not going to have your music unless you can fit into what we know we play.
They do
And
rock.
yeah, and if you were too much like in between two different genres, you might get rejected by both options instead of having the potential to be accepted by both. So musical experimentation was very slow for a long time. It had to be done very incrementally. But once there was more access to like people getting to choose the music they want to listen to easier, especially with the internet and streaming, it just completely exploded these walls of genre entirely. Like when you get your Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year and it tells you your favorite genre and it's some ridiculous hyper specific nonsense, that's basically a joke. Like it's
Yeah.
a joke about the nature of genre decay in the music industry because that's just not how music works anymore.
You used to really be into soft rock glam.
I'm still into soft rock glam.
Is that a thing? I don't know.
Like glam
Emo
rock?
punk.
No, I don't
I'm
like
like,
emo.
he's into soft rock, he's into glam, and I'm sure if there's an intersection of them, Ben would love it.
Like, okay, the only music I don't like is the popular music of my teen years.
So evidences.
Like a lot of emo screamo stuff I always hated. A lot of what's not pop punk I
Pop
always
punk,
hated.
yeah. So yeah, you're not a big fan of Fall Out Boy, huh?
Nah. And then I'll just talk to like people my age, and like there's just this divorce of
I know
between, like music genres that we can actually appreciate.
I know a few people who are really into MCR in your generation.
Yeah. All right, so it's weird. This is our starting topic. We got far away from it. Now we're talking about stuff.
Pause.
Pause.
Are we ending at 2 p.m.? Is that the hard deadline?
Roughly, yeah. We could go
Okay.
like a little bit more over, but they close at 2, so you want to be conscious of that.
All right, I'll do my best.
Yeah, you're
Go.
good.
Well, okay. I was just trying to say, let's move on to talking about something. You did say you wanted to talk about Worldwide Wrestling. I would like to talk about Worldwide Wrestling because I think it's a very interesting RPG.
I'll talk about World of Wrestling. I played it.
Yeah, I didn't play it. So this is another one of those many things that I'm not actually have done, but you're gonna explain to me.
Sure.
I
you do
want
that
to
at this.
explain. I always like coming here to talk about like really interesting RPGs, and I know few games more interesting than Worldwide Wrestling. But I was trying to think about like how do I begin talking about it in a way that I can convey its brilliance. I realized I would first have to explain all of RPGs, so I hope you'll bear with me for a moment.
Continue.
This is why we had to check how much time we had left.
Yes, it literally is.
Hackers
so
was
Worldwide
good.
Wrestling falls into a tradition that are called Powered by the Apocalypse games,
Yep.
or PBTA for short. And those are games starting around the year 2010 that have been modeled after one specific game called Apocalypse World, which was extremely influential. Clearly the second most influential RPG after Dungeons and Dragons itself. It spawned, in a sense, kind of its own hobby and industry. And I kind of just want to talk about that. I want to talk about how interesting PBTA games are and how different they are from the kinds of games we normally play. And there's going to be a whole lot of like, this isn't for me, but I can appreciate it as something other people might be into. But then when we get to Worldwide Wrestling, you're like, I think it's beginning to make sense. This sounds actually pretty appealing, finally.
Spoiler
Yeah.
warning for my opinion on Worldwide Wrestling.
Spoiler warning.
It's that. I can see why people are into it.
The thing is, most of our listeners, I assume, probably are not familiar with RPGs outside of D&D.
I would
That's
assume
what
most
we talked
people
about.
aren't.
Yeah, D&D is
Yeah.
the most popular RPG by far. That is
Without question.
most people's introduction to the genre. And it is actually far more specific than you would think, you know? Like, a lot of people want to turn D&D into a game that you can do anything in. You know, change the genre, change the setting, change the kinds of adventures you do, change the
Yeah.
nature of the stories that you tell. But it is more of an inflexible thing. So, Powered by the Apocalypse. Tell us what's about that.
Well, so that's the
Would it
funny
be?
thing is I was thinking, I feel like RPGs are more susceptible to this weird fallacy where people think that there's like a correct way to do them. And then
Yes.
there's all the stuff that you're not going to do, which they don't get for other things like sports or video games. Like, nobody tries pole vaulting and says, that was all right, but where's the ball? Why aren't there teams? Like, what? What? That's a weird standard to hold it to. Nobody plays Super Mario Brothers or Portal or Tetris and says, those are okay, but where's the skill tree? What? Like, different games are about different ways of thinking, different activities. And it's so weird that RPGs, everyone seems to always be trying to aim towards some ideal Dungeons and Dragons campaign that they want to do. And they miss out on the wide variety of different things that you can achieve in this medium that are totally different from one another. And obviously, because people try to make D&D do everything, you can find almost any appeal in there somewhere. And you can find a bit of what was the inspiration for Apocalypse World in there. See, when you play D&D, sometimes it's fun because you overcame a challenge, right? Like maybe it was by luck, or you just navigated the mechanics better, or you just use like real life ingenuity, right?
Yep.
It's kind of tickling your brain the same way a sport or a puzzle does. but sometimes it's fun because you created a dramatic situation, maybe even a satisfying narrative or a really vivid character. So it's kind of tickling your brain the same way that a movie or a book does. Which of those is your priority? Because you can enjoy both of them. You can say that's what I love about D&D is you get both of these appeals. But if you're designing a game or you're really trying to sharpen your playstyle, you might find yourself needing to choose kind of one over the other, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I think we are used to primarily playing challenge-oriented games. We play games where you can win or you lose. It's not necessarily like there is a specific victory condition, but it might just be like you are playing as your character, trying to achieve your goals, and there are obstacles you want to overcome to get to those goals, right?
Right.
And if you fail at getting those goals, then you, the player, have lost. I mean, if you still had fun, then that's a sense of winning. But like, you can lose a sport and still have had fun, and we could say still like, yeah, you had fun, but you lost, right?
Heat.
Yeah.
Losing at Heat is still fun.
As someone who comes from a video game and board game background, I'm definitely more of the challenge-oriented over the narrative-oriented style of play.
Right.
In a narrative-oriented game, maybe your character's failure is totally independent of you. Maybe you wanted to see them fail because you thought it made for a better story. Or maybe you didn't want any specific outcome. You were willing to accept success or failure or whatever, just so long as it was interesting or narratively satisfying or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So
the classic narrative-oriented playstyle, it's called trad or traditional D&D, and that's one that I've spoken poorly of many times. That's the kind of the model where like the dungeon master just has a story, and they're trying to have their players be the audience to their story that they want to convey through this medium.
Yeah.
So
you talk about it.
They have a plot. They're going to railroad you through it with the occasional when I say free, you say bird, but otherwise you're a passive, receptive audience, you know. But in the late 90s, there was an emergence of a different narrative-oriented style of gaming that they were just called themselves story games for the most part. Mm. And this community thought of satisfying stories as being a lot more character-centric than plot-centric, typically. In particular, they thought that story games should simulate character arcs, like your character has a specific goal or something that needs to change about them. And it is through the active play that we're going to explore like who they are and how they're changed by these experiences. And crucially, they thought like the mechanics should be a part of that. This is not merely supported by the role-playing capabilities of everyone participating. The rules themselves should create and resolve the kind of character arcs that are emerging through play. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I've had D&D experiences where people tried to manifest that kind of thing. Where like people are explaining their behavior by saying that their character is like going through these changes because of whatever narrative thing happened in the story, you know, and justifying like why they're behaving that certain way. It's like there is that mindset.
Yeah. How weird.
I mean, I've done it before. It's not like top of my priorities, but
I wasn't thinking that at all. But
I was saying my character in 7-Part Pact, Alex.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I'm thinking about it too. So, in 2010, married couple Vince and Meg Baker came out with a game called Apocalypse World, which was just one of many attempts to design for that story game concept, but it really just blew the rest of them out of the water. The way it modeled this specific set of goals and values through a play experience resonated with more gamers than possibly any other single system than D&D. So it would like very quickly, lots of other PBTA powered by the Apocalypse games came out. One called Dungeon World and one called Monster of the Week, which we might talk about if we have time. It's funny because like those two are really popular, but hardcore PBTA fans fucking hate those two games.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
A very popular and influential superhero one called Masks.
Yep.
There's one called Ironsworn, Bluebeard's Bride. Oh gosh, there's so many of them. And so it's not just like Apocalypse World was not just Mad Max, but D&D or whatever. It has a totally different take on the basic model of like kind of the activity you're doing. So the the crucial thing I have to impart is that it's not really about a system. It's not like a specific set of mechanics that are common to all of them. There certainly are mechanics you'll find in a lot of PBTA games, but any PBTA fan will tell you that's not the point. It's more about a certain approach towards the activity.
Right.
Um, the guiding principle for all things in a PBTA game is that you're not playing to win, you're playing to find out. So it is through the act of play that you'll generate a story, and what we're all here to do is find out where this takes us. And that's an important contrast from the trad culture as well. This is not about like the DM has a story and we're going to experience it. It is crucial to PBTA games that there is no story already prepared ahead of time. It's a very low prep style. And if the game master came in with lots of preconceptions about how this is going to go, they are playing wrong.
Yeah.
Instead, it's kind of like a much more collective improv sort of activity. The authority of any individual participant is also a lot blurrier than in D&D. There are frequently mechanics where players are encouraged to chime in suggestions for the game master, or even outright overrule the game master and introduce something of their own. Or the GM might just have like very limited resources they have to spend in order to make plot things happen or introduce problems. Like they already spent their bad thing token to make a storm happening, so they can't now just say the cops show up to harass you. They don't have that power anymore. They're not godlike in D&D. Collaborative world building is very common. Like that'll be a part of character creation. The game master did not choose a setting. Making one together and players having a sense of ownership over specific parts is usually a part of the game. Many mechanics are designed to create a kind of snowballing action, so the story just can generate itself as you go, so you don't have to just rely on players having really good improv skills. Hopefully the mechanics should assist in that. But between all these points, we reach an important paradigm that is 100% counter to all of my instincts. I hate this.
Yeah,
and that is
yeah.
the writer's room approach to gaming.
And you're going to eventually praise Worldwide Wrestling, but yeah, I also want to add that this style of game, I hate. I don't like this at all. I hate everything about the Powered by the Apocalypse style of thinking about RPGs. It is so antithetical to what I am enjoying about this experience, and it's like, no, I would like to play another game now, please. I think I'm just going to drop out of this campaign.
Okay.
Ryan, what are you thinking?
I have actually. So as I was alluding to earlier, I've both played the Worldwide Wrestling game that we're going to talk about, and I've also played Monster of the Week. I enjoy both to a degree. I didn't stick with Worldwide Wrestling, and we ended up like stopping the Monster of the Week one. But I think they both have their place. I think they can both be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a big difference in that you are like very challenge oriented. I can kind of flex between either one.
In fact, I'll just say I'm so challenge oriented that I don't even really play RPGs like D&D at all. I just play board games and video games. I just talk a lot about D&D.
What I like when I'm playing an RPG is a mix of challenge into my role playing. Mm-hmm. I want to play the character. I want to play Stu, the turtle chef, who is wandering around with this band of morons trying to be a healer while also being an alchemist artificer thing.
Yeah.
And all my potions are food.
So here's the critical difference. The writer's room approach. This is where it really begins to break down as to like if you're on board with this or you're not. In a PBTA game, you are not role-playing as your character. You're role-playing as the screenwriter who is writing your character, which is subtly different.
Yeah.
Most of the time, of course, you're just going to make them do whatever you think makes sense for them to do, just as you would in any other RPG. But often, you'll make decisions not based on what the character would want or what they're attempting, but what you think is going to make for the best story in spite of what the character might want. Like, okay, a lot of times in a writing class, they'll tell you great characters are flawed. Really great characters even fail a lot of times, right? They have to overcome adversity, and that might mean they fail a few times first. So in a PBTA game, there might be mechanics that incentivize you to choose to fail, because that's going to make for a better story. But obviously, when you take that option, it's not that your character chose to fail. No, like in the story, your character did their best, and they failed because you, their screenwriter, said, and I don't think their best was enough. not because I rolled poorly or because I didn't do good enough, but because I've decided I'd rather they fail because I'm not them, you know? And the flip side is, you might have a lot of liberty to just ignore failure or negative consequences if you don't want that, if that's not something that you think would fit your character. For example, in Blades in the Dark, your character can't die without the player's consent.
Okay.
You can rack up stress points, and if she reaches a certain threshold, at that moment they might die, or you can say, no, I don't think my character's dead yet, and instead you have to opt into like some other kind of generally permanent consequence, like they've been scarred mentally, or they're like traumatized or something. But the point is, you might decide, I just don't think their story's over yet, or I think it'd be more interesting if they were still alive but affected by this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, in a challenge-oriented game, that would completely undermine the integrity of the challenge. But remember, we're not here to win; we're playing to find out, and that's a really hard thing to get in the mindset of. I have a really good example of like one particular game and a core mechanic of it that shows how fundamentally different it is from the D&D that we know.
Okay.
There's a game called Brindlewood Bay. It came out in 2022. It was written by a guy named Joseph Cordova, I don't know. And it is a mystery investigation game that's inspired by Murder, She Wrote plus H.P. Lovecraft.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you play as a group of little old ladies, mostly widows, who are members of what's called the Murder Mavens Mystery Book Club. Because you all love reading murder mystery novels, and so because you're all old and retired and widows, you formed a book club to read them together.
Right.
And you live in a sleepy little town called Brindlewood Bay in Massachusetts, where nothing ever happens. And then suddenly murders start happening, like weird murders too, like occult related murders. And obviously the local authorities are not equipped to handle that. It's baffling that there'd ever be a murder at all in Brindlewood Bay. And being old ladies with a lot of time on your hands and a lot of interest in murder mystery books, you get it in your heads like, well, we could take a crack at this.
I love this premise so much. I love it so
It is.
much.
It's a great premise. Ben, you're going to fucking hate its mechanics.
Yeah, I know.
So, investigation RPGs are famously difficult to get right.
Yeah.
People do them wrong all the time. There's lots of conflicting advice about different methods of how to approach them. I have my own feelings. But this game has a unique take on it that a lot of people said, this is genius. This is just what I've been looking for. Whereas a lot of other people said, get that the fuck away from me. So here's how it works. When a game master sets up a scenario, a mystery, they don't actually know what the solution is at all. They have no idea what happened. They come up with a big list of clues. The players then go around investigating and finding clues. And there's lots of different mechanics governing how they can extract clues from different situations with different methods. But they get clues, and once they reach a certain threshold, I think it's maybe 5, at that moment, any player can now choose to attempt to solve the mystery. And what they do is they declare they're going to attempt to solve it. They then spin a yarn where they come up with some kind of explanation for everything. It doesn't have to include all the clues, but it certainly cannot contradict any of them.
Yep.
And if they have this explanation and everyone agrees that sounds plausible, then the player can make a dice roll. They have a modifier, which is the number of clues they found so far. So the more clues you have, the higher bonus you have. And if they roll high enough, you're right. That's exactly what happened.
You solve the mystery by just writing the mystery yourself.
Yeah, that's the thing is the fictional scenario is about characters solving a mystery, but that's not what you, the player, are doing. You're not solving a mystery. You're writing one.
I hate it.
I love and hate it. So
I can appreciate its brilliance. I can't appreciate how well that works given the limitations of an RPG space and how difficult it is to write investigations.
My thinking is, okay, as is well known about me, I love mysteries. Mm-hmm. I am a huge mystery game fan. If I didn't know that's how it worked, that would be really fun. Because I would be like, I solved the mystery, I'm so smart.
You mean if you went into the game not realizing that you were writing the mystery?
I think that's a little unavoidable. I
was going to say, is that like the secret sauce?
But if I know that I'm just making it up, I'm like, I don't even want to try.
Well, so
I'm
that's the
immediately
funny thing is,
annoyed.
different games are about the different kinds of thinking they involve you in. And a lot of people have grown accustomed to the notion that in an RPG, the activity your characters are doing is also the activity that you are doing. Like when
Yeah,
your characters are solving a puzzle, you are solving a puzzle. When they're schmoozing some NPCs, that's going to mean that have to schmooze some NPCs. When they're solving a mystery, that means that you have to do some investigation and deductive reasoning. But why is that a rule? Video games don't abide by that necessarily. I mean, sometimes they do, but a lot of times your character is fighting, they're sword fighting, they're engaged in lethal athletic combat, but what you are doing is playing like a Candy Crush clone.
you're hitting a
Yeah.
button. Yep. Or
And this
using
is a
card
game
game.
where it's you are not doing an investigation, but you are generating a story that conforms to the dramatic conventions of investigation fiction in a way that will be satisfying to be an audience member of and a participant in.
And now this is where I assume you're going to transition and talking about Worldwide Wrestling and the secret
So
sauce.
it's so funny. I in Worldwide Wrestling, what I think is so brilliant is that it's a PBTA game about playing a PBTA game.
Yep.
All of the things
Pretty
I find
much.
difficult to square in my mind suddenly make sense in this context because, as the author of Worldwide Wrestling asserts, Apocalypse World was not the first PBTA game. Pro wrestling was.
Yeah.
So it's a game about pro wrestling, but crucially, you are not playing as the characters in the pro wrestling storyline. You are playing as the performers who are playing those characters.
Yep.
You're not The Rock. You're playing as Dwayne Johnson, who is playing The Rock. You're not The Undertaker. You're playing as Mark Calloway, who is playing The Undertaker. And therefore, there is a sense in which this actually is a challenge-oriented game like we're used to. It's a
Yeah.
game about overcoming obstacles to achieve your character's goals. It's just that your character's goal is to craft a dramatically satisfying narrative for the enjoyment of an imaginary viewing audience.
It
I love it.
sounds. It's
Yeah.
great. It's a great idea. Um, I had issues with playing a wrestling game because I'm not really into wrestling at all.
Okay, yeah, we got to talk about it. So, my and Alex's brother Sam ran a short Worldwide Wrestling campaign that was cut short. You participated in it.
Yep.
Alex participated in it. I got to hear all about the actual creation from it from my brother, and all of his world building stuff. So, share.
Well, that shit was dope. Everything Sam comes up with is pretty awesome, generally speaking. Go ahead.
I lost audio of you for a moment there, Ryan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying most anything Sam comes up with is awesome.
Well, tell us about your characters that you had as an example. Then.
Sure, I was goofy.
So to be clear, the central conceit of Sam's setting was that it was a world in which all pop culture characters are real, but also they're all wrestlers.
Yep.
The example he gave was like Batman is real, and he did fight Bane, and Bane did break his back. It's just that was a pro wrestler storyline that happened in the ring, and it was kayfabe.
Yeah.
So,
So obviously his setting is fucking dope. And when I heard that setting, I couldn't get anything out of my head besides playing as Goofy from
Goofy from-
Mickey Mouse. I was Goofy the whole time I was playing. It was not funny. I was Goofy, just to be clear. I threw pies. I had my son Max. He was a member. I was trying to be a good dad. I was trying to adopt more kids. I don't remember why that happened exactly.
Alex, what about your character?
my first character was a luchador named El Incognito, and he was
Yeah.
meant to be kind of like a mysterious vigilante. I retired him pretty quickly because he overlapped conceptually a little too much with our sister Rebecca's character. So I pivoted to a giant, beefy, showboating asshole called Bjorn Odinson, who was meant to be
I
like
love
a
Bjorn.
Norse demigod. And he was kind of our Hulk Hogan sort of character.
He kept cracking beers. He kept pulling beers out of nowhere and cracking them.
Well, no, he would also sometimes like he would put another guy in a headlock, and then he'd just reach out to the audience and be like, "Beer me," and somebody would throw him a beer.
And the way this plays out is you have your wrestling match where, say, Bjorn Odinson and Goofy are put up against each other, and you're just describing like what's happening in the fight. Whether it's like, okay, you crush a beer against your head, and Goofy does something funny, and then you guys describe like a wrestling move that you do to each other, and you decide whether it was effective or not.
What's clever is there's these rules for combat, but you're not playing to win. You're playing to tell a great story through combat. So, and this is critical, the winner and loser have been decided before the fight even began, just like in real wrestling. A slight difference is that the players don't get to find out until near the end of the match, just so that they have a little something to keep them in suspense. It also kind of helps method act a little better. Like, neither of the players knows if they're going to win yet, so they have to, like, describe their characters fighting as though they think that they have a real shot at winning. But the point is, no matter how well you fight, that has no bearing on the outcome of whether you win or lose. That has to do with story reasons. So what you're instead trying to achieve in these combat mechanics is, can we tell a great story through this fight? And that is what you're also supposed to do in every other PBTA game. It's just that it never makes sense to me in those contexts, but in this one, I'm like, yeah, exactly, like wrestling. That's perfect. I can do that.
Yeah.
It low-key improves the concept of wrestling to me. Like, I'm not a huge wrestling fan. I've only recently, like, started learning about it because of Sam, because of Worldwide Wrestling.
Yep.
And, like...
I mean...
Sorry,
you go.
No, you go.
No.
Alex, I'm demanding that you continue.
I was going to say, the biggest shock to me of my late 20s is that of all things, I would suddenly developed a interest in pro wrestling because of this fucking game. I've now watched so much of it as research for this game. I ran my own campaign, by the way.
Really?
Which I might
That's
resume
awesome.
at some point. Yeah, and I'm just a bona fide wrestling fan now because of this stupid fucking game.
That did not happen to me at all.
Good for you.
I played it. I tried to kind of get into it, and I was like, I really don't get wrestling, and I don't really like it.
I became
I wanna
heavily
stop
invested
playing.
in Cody Rhodes finishing his story.
I just like I kind of gave up. I don't know.
So the biggest problem I have with it is that when you're doing a fight move, unlike D&D, it's not really like first you roll to see if you hit and then how hard. It's more like you roll to see how well you executed it, but really it's mostly a chance for you to give a free-form description of like the stylish, characterful stunt that you perform, right?
Yeah.
And that takes some amount of creative thinking, sort of improv skill that a lot of people find challenging, especially if you're not super familiar with wrestling moves. Now, personally, my instinctive approach was, I don't want to mimic actual wrestling moves. I want to come up with goofy, cartoony nonsense. I think the very first move I ever described my character doing was like grabbing his opponent, spinning them around until they're like a tornado, winding up one hand and slapping them, giving them the atomic titty slap, like leaving a perfect like red handprint on their pectoral. Because I thought it's funny. But we were playing with Aqua. Aqua's probably listening actually, and Aqua, huge pro wrestling fan, and they're all about the like real life, extremely accurate, like technical wrestling moves. That's what they want to bring to this game. So I just had to do my homework. I just had to start researching actual wrestling moves.
They would just name a move, and you'd be like, okay, well, I don't know what that was, so I need to look it up and imagine it.
They have some listed in the book. They have like diagrams of a few, but I was in the same boat as Alex. I didn't want to learn them. I threw a pie at one point. You know, like that's the level of shit I was dealing with. That was a big problem for me, was I just didn't want to have to go into in-depth of explaining every single specific movement that I'm trying to do while I'm trying to do something goofy and weird because I'm goofy.
I've got a bizarre pivot question that might be inappropriate given how much time we have left to record, but at one point we talked about a cartoon RPG and its failure to capture the mechanics of cartoons. How well do you think like Power by the Apocalypse would do for like a cartoon game? Where you play as cartoon characters.
It would either be perfect or at least it would be a very good start.
Yeah, I think start.
I don't think that Toon should pivot to something about character arcs exactly.
No.
But the great thing about a lot of PBTA design is that it focuses a lot on kind of like snowballing action and thinking about how like these moves that have really been considered as to the sort of like fictional tropes they need to embody or that they need to be able to help you tap into, and that will naturally lead into corresponding ones that sort of like make sense in the context of the fiction. And that's something that I think that like a cartoon, like writing cartoon logic, you can totally make PBTA style mechanics in that way.
Right. I happen to agree. Um, we are out of time.
We're literally out of. I mean, okay, it's not like someone's gonna knock on the door and kick us out of the studio in the next 10 minutes, but
I mean, they might. There's like one dude here, and he probably wants to go
All
home.
right, the movie Hackers is way better than people will tell you. I mean, it's like a cult
yeah.
classic, but I think it's genuinely kind of good. It's super goofy, but like it has surprisingly strong fundamentals. Actually, like if you can get past the cheese, and you shouldn't get past it. That's the best part.
Yep.
It's a pretty tight screenplay, and believe it or not, a lot of the hacking is way more accurate than you would expect.
That's what I said during the movie, because I had known about this movie for years, and then Sam, when we started, was like, "This is not how hacking is," and then he's calling someone and trying to get the password and access to the computer. I'm like, "That is hacking. That is what hacking is in real life."
It was all done with the phone system, yeah.
when they want to break into that one corporation's servers, they do it by digging through their dumpsters and like trying to find like passwords.
It's mostly social engineering and just actual theft.
None of the shit they show on screen is hacking.
No, but it's hilarious when like there's like numbers and like weird magical symbols like flying around them and stuff, and then like you see the screen and that's what's on their computer screens. So it's like not just like.
The main character is Johnny Lee Miller, who at that point was probably best known for having been in Train Spotting, in which you couldn't understand a word he said because he was Scottish. I love him.
Yeah,
but in this
he's
movie,
almost unrecognizable in this because of the accent change.
And yet you can still not understand anything he's saying because he is failing an American accent so hard. It's amazing.
It's not that. It's not that.
Bad. There's like a handful of lines where you're like, I have to listen to that like 3 more times. What the fuck did he just say?
I mean, if you're gonna shout out any actor in this movie, it's got to be Matthew Lillard. His character is hilarious.
It's Shaggy before Shaggy.
Is this Angelina Jolie's first major role?
First major, like, probably.
Yeah.
This is like, oh wow, she is so hot in this movie.
Angelina Jolie.
That's my takeaway. Every single time I watch, it's like, wow, Angelina Jolie is really hot in the movie Hackers.
I did say that when we were watching it, this is the closest thing to a B movie we've ever watched.
It's very corny.
Yes. The only thing, and then I also said that main character whose name I've immediately forgotten. He's
Dade. Dade. I can never forget that name.
Zero Cool.
Zero Cool. Overdrive.
Crash
Override.
Crash and burn, baby. He's playing an autistic character better than anyone I've ever seen. He's perfect.
Actually, I think my favorite character is the kid who just is smoking constantly.
Joey.
At one hand point, he's like double fisting cigarettes.
He's got 2 cigarettes.
Like every single time they cut to him, he's got a cigarette in his mouth. He's like hacking at his computer, and it's just like hanging off his lip. Perfect image.
It's good.
So yeah, I recommend Hackers.
All right, 5-minute Hackers discussion at the end of the episode. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. 5 stars on Spotify.
Sorry about the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be more consistent for season 2.
Nah. Bye, Alex.
Bye, listeners. Bye, Ryan. I'm gonna go die now.